Wow, what'd you guys think of the movie?
Thank you.
Yeah. So, with us today we have the lovely director, Ben Jonson. And of course, scientist extraordinaire, Conor. So, I was telling somebody about our shooting schedule. So, first question is, how great was our shooting schedule?
We had a wonderful plan, and that's the thing. So, whenever you make anything, the idea is that you go forth, you make a plan, and you try to execute on your plan, right? Like that's the idea in all of this stuff. Unfortunately, most of the time, not everything does go to plan. And there were a number of things that were in that plan that we did not shoot, that we had to change, thus the magic deer. The magic deer was all because we had a desperately long scene that we didn't have time for. We could never secure a police car because originally Dwayne Warden and Starr were supposed to steal a cop car in their escape from prison. And they were to stumble across the gun that way. We couldn't secure it. We couldn't afford the time to make it happen, and we just had to change things. So our schedule originally was delightful, and it was planned to the minute. And all that went to pot inside of it. Maybe the first day was the only day we made our day, right? Originally. So making your day, you guys know what that means, right? That's when you're able to finish everything you wanted to shoot that day, and everybody goes home happy, fed, and ready to come back the next day. That was the only day we made our day. Every other day we went over, and then we had to start stretching things. We had to start making concessions.
Within 2 days, we had to reshoot most of our first day, though, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. That was another thing that set us a little bit behind. We did. So we had a bite when Randy gets his arm bit there at the beginning. We had some blood. It wasn't great blood. And then our dear friend Doug Sackman came out and he said, "Oh, you can do better than that. We'll do better than that. Let's reshoot it." And we did. And in just that one scene, I think we went through like 5 gallons of blood to get the arm bite right, to make it pop the way that it does. And God bless him for it, because he was right. It's a much better and more effective effect at that point.
So yes, we have an immersive shooting schedule with buffering for a lot of creativity.
And we shot it over, production itself lasted for 3 weeks initially. Then we did 2 days in New York at the Troma offices. They let us come up there. And a lot of times, Troma is very specific about where they want you to shoot when you shoot there. You can shoot in the basement. It was a rare occasion that they let us actually shoot in their editing bay. An even rarer occasion that they let us use blood in their editing bay, which what you cannot see is the copious amount of plastic that we laid down, nor can you see the 2 hours it took us to clean it up. So that way when Uncle Lloydie and Michael Hers came into the office the next day, it looked like we were never there. And it was cleaner than I think that office had been in maybe 5 years. Yeah. And then we also went back in October for another 3 days. Josh was going to ask the questions, Conor. You have to turn that over.
Give me the microphone. So, I meant the days. What were your days shooting it like?
Again, they all started very hopeful. Every day started very, very hopeful, some more so than others. Some days started behind, and that's largely due to the fact that I had 9 people living inside of my home, and it was very difficult to get everybody wrangled in the mornings. It was very difficult sometimes. Some men like large breakfasts, and they would show up a little later sometimes.
Let's talk about you, Conor.
No, I'm not. And then we we also had, what, maybe 15 people living, pardon me, in a motel, maybe 10, 15 minutes away from the house. So it's a lot of moving pieces, right? Like, it's always a lot of moving pieces. And when everybody is working for free, you can say we start at 9 a.m., and then, by God, if half of them are there at 10, you're such a lucky person. And you just start, and then everybody comes in, and when you're working 14, 15-hour days, you know, you're very grateful for what your friends give you in those moments. At least that's what the days were like for me. You guys are like that son of a bitch, and what he's doing to us, it's a whole other story. But the worst day that we had, and I'll be point blank, the whole final sequence, you can see we have maybe a few third act problems, right? Just a couple. That whole final bit in the house, in the sheriff's house, ended up being a 21-hour day when everything was all said and done. We started at 9. We did not get shots off until 3 p.m. We went from 3 p.m. till, I want to say, roughly 5 a.m. We had an hour for wrap out, and then we were supposed to be back on set at, I think it was like 9 the next day, and we were lucky to get there by 11, and that was everybody. We also, that was a big lesson learned. I should have scheduled 2 days for rehearsal for that. I scheduled 0. We went in, we tried to do everything on the fly. We rehearsed for maybe that first like 3 or 4 hours. Lunch was on time that day. That's one of the few times we got lunch right. Lunch was on time that day, but poor Nadia White was in that deer nose for literally, I think, 12, maybe 13 hours before we shot her, and then she was painted up for about 7 of those hours before we shot her, and was an absolute trooper the entire time. So, again, you're grateful for what people give you. You're very, very grateful for that. And it is very difficult, and when things are not going the way they should be going, and things are taking longer, it's it's a struggle, but I think we made something wonderful out of it.
Conor, how was it to play the scientist?
I was clearly having fun, if that wasn't obvious. So the whole movie is, it's abundantly a Troma movie. It's a cartoon, big expressions. It's over the top. And with the scientist, I think Ben originally directed me to do like a Middle Valley, G. Willikers, like hands trembling, like would never swear or anything like that kind of scientist. And I just had in my head that this guy has to at least think that he's the only sane person in this movie, but also still be a cartoon character. And I feel like I did that pretty okay.
Thank you. So to that end too, with the scientist in particular, Conor did some wonderful things that were not in the script. They weren't there. And that's the thing that you have to look forward to, and that's the thing that you have to embrace, is a lot of times in a very collaborative sort of space, your actors are going to give you things that you don't know that you want sometimes, and you have to be open to that. There were some days where Conor he's like, I've got the lines that are on the page, but I've got these other things too. And there were only, I think, 2 times where I expressly was just like, we have it, let's just go. We need to go. But again, very gracious to that and very open to that level of feedback. There was one point where we were outside of the liquor store. We were pressed for time again. The owner of the liquor store had entrusted his employee to make decisions there. When I went in to get the location, I said, are you in charge? I did not ask, are you the owner? That was a dumb part on my part. So filmmaking tip number 1, always ask if they are the owner, because she didn't tell him what she had signed off on. And he showed up very upset as to why his business was closed at the front door and just his drive-through was open. And we begged and we pleaded, and he let us shoot. you let us shoot, you let us continue. He's like, no, she can sign off on things, but, you know, she should have told me something. And I was like, that ain't on me, but we're here, and we got stuff to do. I mean, it's either that or we have to go and find a new liquor store, which would put us more days behind. Yeah. But Conor, a tremendous job. His whole sequence where he's going insane and all the voices are in his head and all that was cobbled together from, I think, like 3 or 4 different takes. And yeah, it was just tremendous. Again, stuff we didn't know that we wanted, stuff that we didn't necessarily know that we needed was provided for us. And, yeah.
Big question. Why all the farts and poop?
So, okay, and that's actually a really good, that's a brilliant question. Because also, again, things we don't know that we necessarily need. I told our sound mixer, I was like, look, there are a couple of points in here I think a few fart jokes would be funny. I trust your judgment. Mistake number 1. Again, filmmaking mistake number 1. Be very specific if you're making your movie. Otherwise, when it gets down to the week before your premiere and you're still in the sound mix, you take what you get, and we got basically what equates to a fart track. I knew I wanted farts in there because we have a bunch of scenes where people are pooping a lot and we need good sound for it. I went to Instagram, I took to my Instagram and I was like, we need your farts. And I still have a file that is literally just, it's probably 30 different farts that people have sent in. Long ones, short ones, gross ones, fun ones, happy ones. It's like we have so many. And
is that your road trip mix?
that is, yeah, that's what I listened to on the plane coming to Rhode Island. Yeah.
There's also a microphone if anybody has questions. You got it.
Yeah, or you can just
the
yell.
microphone's
I
over
can
there.
yell. Why the squeaking for the cops?
Again, so our sound mixer, a guy named James Boylan, a wonderful guy, a brilliant director in his own right. But James, he was like, I thought you would think it was cartoony and kind of fun. And I do. I think it's very funny, but he wanted to make them like sort of like Looney Tunes type characters, right? Like a call to the cartoons, to those ideas. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, how involved was Lloyd and them, or did they just give you free will? Because I see a lot of the posters for the films, like Toxic Avenger and Poltergeist in there. Did they provided that for you, or what was that agreement like in South Tromaville, obviously, reference?
So Lloyd is tremendous as a producer. He told me very early on, he said, a good producer stays out of the director's way. You just tell me what you need. And I said, okay, great, cool. And we didn't need much. I said, give us some posters, if you would please. And we got a little poster tube full of Troma posters. We needed the butt that the antler goes into. That is a leftover prop from #Shakespeare Shitstorm. So they sent that over to us. We got that back up to the office. I think it's currently in front of Lloyd's desk. And then throughout the process, he would check in. There were days, this is the perils of social media, friends. This is very much the peril of social media. We were very active on our Instagram while we shot. There was a day where we had hail while we were shooting outside in late April. And everybody's online. All of the team is online. Oh, we're fucked. Oh, it's terrible. It's gonna be bad. I get a call from Lloyd as they are heading to the premiere of #Shakespeare Shitstorm. And he's like, what's all this stuff about you guys being fucked? What's the problem? What's going on? What's happening in Tennessee? Are you guys even shooting anything? He was livid. And I was like, we are fine. We're just on a 5-hour weather hold. He said, what do you mean? Do you need anything? What are you doing? And I was like, no, Lloyd, we're fine. Unless you can change the weather. Now is not the time for jokes. Are you sure you're okay? And it was really very sweet. It really was. He was very active in in making sure that we were taken care of. So whenever we had an ask, we would. A more specific and very concise answer, why all the posters, white walls are very boring in movies. White walls are very, very boring. And if you read Uncle Lloydie's books, he even says, if you have too much white space, a lot of times, too much of one singular color, it draws the eye to that and not even what's happening, right? So you fill the background, you fill the space, it makes it look lived in, and then that way you can actually focus on the action in front of you, because that background is full, it's busy, you know, you're not worried with it. And then if you do get bored, you have nice things to look at.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Eva.
Hi. Okay, so the credit scene, is that hinting to like where fawn, where baby wolf, or baby deer?
So it's actually sort of yes and. We wanted to leave it in a space where if we wanted to come back for a sequel, we possibly could. You know what I mean? And I have a loose idea for it, but it's very far into the future. But what I would like to do, if I ever did a sequel to this, is it would be a Sam O'Brien story, the news reporter. We would go to Sam, tell things from her perspective. Star would obviously be the new sheriff. She would be becoming corrupt through the story. And then the baby Weredeer would now be like 3 or 4 years old, and the whole Weredeer family would be jailed for crimes they didn't commit. It'd be like a Friday 5 situation, if you've ever seen that. So fake killer, blame it on the Weredeer. It's up to Sam O'Brien to free them and clear their names. It's in the head. I don't know when we'll get there, but maybe, hopefully.
Go ahead, brother.
All right. Before I ask, I just want to compliment you guys saying that I really enjoyed this movie.
Thank
I
you.
haven't seen that many bowel movements since Salo and the 120 Days of Sodom, and I haven't seen that many penis mutilations since Antichrist.
We know.
My question for you is, do you have any future projects down the line?
Yeah, actually, yes, very much so. I'm actively in pre-production on the next film. It's a love letter to the old nudie cuties of the 50s and 60s, right? So I'm a huge fan of like exploitation, and I love those movies. I love the stories behind them. If you're not familiar with how they used to get all these nudists in the movies and how they would do it, it was through very nefarious methods, right? Like producers and directors would go to nudist colonies, they would lie. They would say, oh, we're working on a documentary about the naturist lifestyle. We want to share that with the world, blah, blah, blah. And they would bring in a couple of their actors. They would shoot all this B-roll, make sure their actors are established there, and then they would move off to like a studio space or a secondary location and shoot whatever stupid monster movie it was, right? Like, so if you look at something like Monster of Camp Sunshine or The Beast That Killed Women, all those nudist colony scenes were shot under nefarious methods. We're not doing that. We're isolating a camp and we're finding like-minded people who want to make something special. But the name of the movie is called Camp Nude Away. And at its core, it's really a story about an actress who has no life experience, nothing from which to draw motivation. So she leaves with her sister and her sister's friends to go and seek out that motivation. And they end up at a nudist colony that is being farmed by a mad scientist who is I love scientists, by the way. I love mad scientists specifically. But like, they're being farmed so that this man can ultimately uneat the apple, right? Like he wants to bring humanity back to its truest and purest form, back when we were closer to God, right? And he just bakes a bunch of nudist brains. It's fingers crossed we can get it done. So like, yeah, it should be a good time.
You don't have to worry about wardrobe.
No, well, you do, though. That's the problem. You really do. But yes and no, right? So, and it's so much inside baseball. But I'll tell you guys, like, I'm as weird and as wild as we get. I'm very cautious in what we do. So we may not have to worry about wardrobe so much. However, if your jump's not on the screen, the rest of the cast and crew doesn't need to be seeing your jump all day, right? So, seriously, so if we're in like a waist-up shot, like, put on some britches, kid. Like, it'll be fine. It's good. And I love those movies because they are artsy and it gives you a chance to have some real fun with camera. Because you can lie. You can lie so much with a camera. Consider this, right? Like we can play off of hips, right? We can play off of like waistlines. So if you're shooting that and you see the skin there, it tricks the brain into thinking that you're seeing a lot more scandalous stuff than you're actually seeing, right? And so you can keep all them good bits and giblets for when they need to be there. So we're playing a lot with some artsy kind of stuff, yeah. Thank you. Look for it at some point in time.
Well, you know,
What is the safety guidelines on your sets?
Well, I mean, we followed the Troma rules of production, and I think we did pretty well. It's safety to people, safety to people's property, and then in a much smaller font. They always say, make a good movie. We put those up everywhere, and we try to be as safe as possible. You can't plan for everything, obviously, but if you move with that in mind, you reduce the possibility, you know what I mean? But you can't account for everything. It's like the weather.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, I was blessed enough to be on the set for 2 weeks, and I can honestly say that every time there was a scene, there was high security.
Yeah.
It was me and Big Dan at that point, 500 pounds, in front of the naked ladies.
Yeah.
With an MMA fighter.
With an MMA fighter, that's sure.
Yeah, so no one was getting near the ladies. So it was really interesting to be on set like that.
was that actually a fear that something like that would happen?
So, it always sort of is, because you do have to consider your actors, your actresses, you have to consider anybody who is in like a state of sort of like vulnerability, right? Like you pay attention to it. The people in the strip club were all locals. Most of them were local to my hometown, right? So we took this seedy little bar that's maybe 5-10 minutes outside of town. It's called the Sugar Grove Tavern. And I said to the owner, I was like, so we're going to turn it into a strip club one night. And he's like, I'll tell all my friends. And so he brought everybody in. That was a 14-hour day. And all of those local hillbillies were so into it. We shot everything in the bar first, then we turned it into the club at night. And like, these guys were awesome. The one thing, and this was a very active thing that we made several announcements about, especially when we were getting the whole crowd together. We were very adamant that it was no drinking on set. Like, we run a dry set. It's stupid not to. It's very, very dumb if you think you're going to have a party, if you think people are going to, booze it up, whatever. It makes for a shitty movie. It makes for a shitty time for everybody, right? So we actively were saying no drinking because we're in a bar. And then we did have to ask everyone, if you have any weapons on you, please take them out to your car. We don't need to see them. We don't need to know what they are. Tennessee is, I believe it's a concealed carry state. If you've got your permit, you're fine. Who cares? But you cannot have that on a film set. You just can't. And we had guys go outside, come back in, and they were super happy, super, like, really, really awesome to be around. And they understood. They got it. And they wanted to be there. So, they complied.
Yeah, do you want to talk about your locations, like Westmoreland?
So my hometown is literally a town of 2,000 people. In Sumner County, we didn't have to pull any permits, so I didn't have to pay for anything there. I made deals with everybody around me. Randy's house, the exterior is my best friend from childhood. His little baby is the one we stuff in the dryer. So we used his for the exterior. We used my house for Randy's interior. We used my dad's basement for the coroner's office. We We used my dad's living room for the sheriff's living room. The bachelor party sequence took place in my dad's front yard. So we've got a little stretch of woods back there, and it's all on the roadside. So, not that any of you know, but should you ever visit Westmoreland, from that spot, you can see the police station. It's right there. Everything was within walking distance of our production office, right? Like everything was right there up from the laundromat. The laundromat has been in my family for like 40 years, so it was a no-brainer to me. It was a no-brainer to me. And fun fact on the laundromat, this is probably the biggest location, and it's my fondest memory. So I'm talking to Lloyd one day, and he was saying, he goes, well, do you have a production office? Do you even have a place where you can do the actual work? And I was like, yeah, we've got a production office. And he goes, well, you got an office. I said, we have a laundromat. Mood changed instantly. You got a laundromat? Yeah, you got to stuff a kid in a dryer. And I was like, wait, what? And he goes, no, you got to stuff a kid in a dryer. You will feel so powerful. It'll be the greatest day of your life. You got to do it. You got to do it. And I said, okay, fine. I talked to the writer. Writer says, well, it's not in there, but you know, whatever. It's a producer's note. It's a funny gag. We'll do it. We'll find a kid or a baby or something later on. And so as we're shooting, Conor also played our Weredeer for the majority of the shoot. We were not going to let him hold the baby and stuff it into a dryer. We just weren't. So I talked to my buddy. He was so disappointed that day. I talked to my buddy Justin, and I said, hey, I know you just had this kid like 4 months ago. Do you mind if we throw it into a dryer, man? Is that cool? And he said, sure, dude. I'll bring her by. They say never to work with babies. They say never to work with animals. This baby smiles whole time, big, bright, happy, happiest little baby you've ever seen. Conor tried terrifying her in the outfit, like that's him towering over. But when it came time to put her in the dryer, I said to my buddy, I was like, hey man, I'm not going to let anybody else stuff your kid in the dryer. You have to do it. And he said, okay. So we put him in the arms, we put him in the shirt, and that's him lifting his kid into the dryer. We put a ton of like bedding underneath, raised up, just out frame, should anything tragic happen. We stuffed that dryer full of clothes, everything. Put the baby in, baby's all smiles. I forget whose idea it was. I think it may have even been Calvert's idea to put the dryer sheet on. The second that dryer sheet goes on, baby starts crying like crazy. We're like, close the fucking door, close the door. Do it now. Got the door, got the shot, and then it's instantly like, open it the fuck up, get the sheet off, and then please make it stop. And she did though. That's what's messed up. The second the thing came off of her and she was back up in his arms without the things on, done. She is a natural actress, like this little baby. And then she was nothing but smiles the rest of the day. Nothing but smiles the rest of the day. Now fast forward, Lloyd is watching a cut. I get another phone call. What is it, baby? It's good. So if I go, what the fuck is this with this baby in this dryer? He's like, you can't do that. You can't stuff a kid in a dryer. That's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. Why'd you do it? And so he's going on and on about it. And I was like, Lloyd, it was your idea. Well, maybe it is kind of funny. And then he went on to the next thing. It was very surreal, and it probably my fondest memory of the whole shoot, because like he almost broke my brain that day. He literally almost broke my brain that day.
Yeah, I was referring to the mob scene. In the mob scene, the people of Westmoreland were driving back and forth.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, no,
because they thought they would be on camera. So guys were shining up their tractors real nice.
If you cannot lock down the street, you are forced to deal with certain things. That's the other part of that. If you cannot lock down the street, well, people are going to drive by and honk. A bunch of my old friends from high school were driving by. They see me outside, waves the whole time. And it's like, just stop it. You know what I mean? Like to a point to where it's like, you almost have to hide your monitor so you can actually do what you need to do. But still, they drive slower, they honk, trucks are loud, all of that stuff. So, you know, you deal with the hand that you're dealt, and you can hear some of it in there. Luckily, it plays. And the worst was outside of the laundromat, the stuff we were doing on the sidewalk there. I've lived in that town forever, right? Forever. And then I never really hung out there on a Saturday night. We were doing this on a Saturday night. Every other night it is super quiet. 7 p.m. on Saturday night, there's a little music venue up the way. All of a sudden you start hearing a bunch of banjos, mandolins, you start hearing all this old-timey like hymns coming from the place, and just a bunch of wonderful music actually. It's very, very good, but very, very annoying. And, you know, it was everybody backing out, starting up. We spent probably 3 hours out there to try and get the shots that we needed, just to shut down, move inside, and come back at like 1 o'clock in the morning to finish that scene. Yeah, that was tough. That was a tough night. In our BTS, you can actually see me melt the entire time. That whole bit is the most like cathartic sort of thing for me to watch again, because it's like this is the slow de-evolution of me, right? Like right here, I can always bear witness to what happened to me at that point. Terrible night, terrible night.
This is more for Conor than it is you, Chatty McChattins.
You asked a question.
The camaraderie on set, do you want to talk about, like, or can you talk about the camaraderie between people? On set specifically, and then afterwards.
For me personally, I was in kind of my own little bubble, so I played the scientist, obviously, as Ben noted. I was also a Weredeer. That was its own fun challenge. I actually did have a lot of fun playing the Weredeer, but I was also the wardrobe coordinator. I did some PA work as well. I ran errands. There was a whole 3-day period that revolved around getting a gorilla suit, so we could make snow cave. I was a part of that. And then I dabbled in assisting the effects crew as well. So in regards to camaraderie, I was pretty kind of in my own world, just honed into what I was doing the whole time. But I feel, for the most part, we all were there to get the job done and efficiently. Everyone worked really well together beyond, you know, no, I guess there was a little drama, you could say, but regarding some of the actors. But overall, as far as the core crew goes, because in a movie like this, everyone wears many different hats, as I just illustrated. I thought I was not the only one, for sure. So, but like I said, everyone really had the same goal in mind, and I'm lucky enough to have been on a crew that worked really well together, I felt.
Yeah, I think that's a fair enough statement. We got along very, very well. I did, the DP and I fought a couple of times, and then he got COVID and we quit fighting because he couldn't come back out for like 5 days, right at the end of the shoot. But the only reason we fought is because we both had vision, we've both been working on it for a long time. He had this massive production Bible that he built out for us in very specific shots, very specific things. And he was very adamant about his time, and he knew when he felt we had the shot. I was a little bit different sometimes. Like the scene with Derek crying in the car, he kept telling me, why are we wasting so much time? I made that poor man cry in that car for probably 40 minutes. Like that, every angle we possibly could. No, cry harder, cry faster, bigger, make it larger. And that was for me. That was all for me. That was it. Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Why were you an octopus?
So that was actually my call. So yeah.
Was that you? That was him. You keep blaming me. It's not me.
You walk it.
So
That was an octopus?
I brought on a wardrobe.
I thought it was a lobster.
Hunters for various roles, etc.
Josh still thinks it's a squid. It's an octopus.
Oh,
It
that's
says
right.
it's Squid Man in the credits.
Because of you.
It's a better name than Octagon.
So where did you get that?
So Ben did have the costume, and it was just there. And the reality is that as production went on, it was clear we were making a mainline Troma movie that the company was going to be proud of, and they were immersed into the production for that reason. That itself was exciting. And I brought a ton of wardrobe myself. Ben had some as well at the laundromats. Among what Ben had was just the squid suits, and I kept staring at it. I'm just like, this needs to be used, and I don't know. Like, it probably doesn't, but I want to.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And Josh had showed it a day or two before, and it was the day we were shooting at the tavern with strip club scenes, etc. And if you watch like any old school Troma movie, it's just chaos in the background. There's usually something really bizarre that stands out, like some kind of civilian. So I'm just like, you're a squid, do it. And something about putting that outfit on Joshua with the beard, it just felt kind of. I mean, it didn't work, but I'm glad it's there.
And again, this is where, when you're making something that is deeply collaborative, you have to trust. You have to trust. And I trusted Conor in that. And when Josh comes up to me and he goes, they put me in a squid suit. I was like, well, I guess you're wearing it.
and here's the thing, like, is it juxtaposed a little bit? Yes. But do people talk about it? Do people laugh? Yes, they do. Will Joshua remember this for the rest of his life? Absolutely.
If anybody's wondering, the costume did accidentally fall out a window into a bonfire.
No, it did not. Stop lying to people. It
You
is
still have it?
Yeah, bro. Look, my friend got me that for my birthday. That's my fucking octopus costume, bro. Like, it's not going into anything. I hang out in that. Yeah, I hang out in that at home.
Yes.
That is my suit. Yeah, no bonfire. It is folded nicely and neatly in a drawer in my bedroom.
That officially freaks me out.
And it hasn't been washed.
That's it. No, that it has.
Oh.
After he wore it, but
I did all the laundry on set. I can guarantee that it was washed.
that he did. Yeah, he did.
And there's another thing in a movie like this. Like, if you're going to be there and there's nothing to do, you can find something to do that other people can't or don't have the time to do. I ended up doing all the dishes, feeding the cats, and doing laundry.
Yeah.
Because those are things that need to get done in a movie, and especially when you have a crew of 12 people living in a house. Things need to get done, and somebody's got to step up and just do it.
So again, if we talk about like sort of simple little things, like to Joshua's point, a lot of those household things for the team, he likes to pick on me and talk trash, but that was literally for the team, right? Like, because we would get up, we would just need to make coffee, get coffee, leave. A couple of us had some things to eat around the house. And my poor wife, God bless her, not that it's her job to take care of us, but she likes to do some of that. But I suckered her into not only being like our production designer, so all of that beautiful background stuff that you see, all of that stuff going on, she did all that. She also ended up taking care of us as far as lunches go, right? And that's a thing that she never signed up for. It was a thing that we needed, had to have, and because of making the film, and when I would get home at night, we would sit down and we would try to have production meetings about what was going to go on the next day. She would try and figure out what we're going to eat the next day, and we would be sitting there, and your mind doesn't go to those things, right? The other guys are, they're picking their ears or whatever it is that they're doing. But Joshua always stepped up and helped keep that baseline very level and very even keel for us. And again, you talk about the things that we're grateful for. So thank you.
Every set should have a Joshua. Just
100%, yes.
what they mean by that is somebody to clean up after everybody else.
No, somebody who is constantly going to remind you. But those things are also very important, like very, very important. If you have someone who is grounded and rooted in that, then you can go off and do these crazy things. You can have your fun. You bring them into those crazy things. Joshua even had a door slammed in his face, not by me. When he first showed up, he was like, "Is this where we make the movie?" It was after a long day. I had sent him to the production office because that's where we were supposed to be meeting. He shows up there on time. Nobody is there. I say, "Oh, we're still at the house. We were behind today. Yesterday was a nightmare, blah, blah, blah. Please come to the house." He shows up at the house, and then the assistant director, Ben Terry, Josh knocks on the door. Terry opens it up, and he goes, "Is this where the movie's going? Is this where we're making a movie?" And Terry goes, "There's no movie here." And he just closes the door right in his face. And then he comes and tells me, "Ben, there's some big weird guy asking about a movie at your front door. I don't know what to do." I sent him away. And I was like, "No, we need him. He's a
Yeah, that was after I drove 16 hours straight.
Yeah, literally right after that. And then he still stuck around. He still stuck around and did all these nice things for us. And then made the movie.
You don't have to kiss my ass, it's okay.
I'm not. That is truth. That is true. Conor made the movie. Everybody puts in. And like people lose that, right? Like it becomes this whole like self-suck sort of situation where it's like, oh, it's the thing that I did, and you can't lose the fact that it's everybody else who makes your movie for you. Like that's the thing, right? You are like one spoke on a giant fucking wheel that makes the thing, and everybody makes the movie. It's everybody's product. It's everybody's thing at the end of the day.
On that note, where can everyone find you for future follows and things that are coming up?
Sure. If you're desperately interested and want a second viewing, a third, fourth, 25th viewing, please continue to watch. Every time you do, there's a little tick mark that goes off. But we're currently streaming on Troma now, Troma's app. It's free for the first month, $4.99 a month after that. So we're up on there. Eventually we'll be getting to home video release. And then if you really want to follow us, I am at yarn_Yeti because I knit. So yarn_Yeti. You can follow me there. Conor?
Me, I am at Epic Cabaret, spelled QUE, just because to be annoying. That's for my acting and modeling, and I don't think I have much in the works right now. Potentially the aforementioned project that Ben brought up.
Yeah. You'll be there.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming out. I'm Joshua, I run Hard People. Make sure you follow me too. And big round of applause for
And thank you all for sticking around and listening to this nonsense. We appreciate you very, very much. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
There's no movie that you guys want to see it, so thank you.